All right, what can you do to stay motivated when everything's going wrong? When the shit hits the fan, how do you keep your motivation, or how do you build new motivation? Like one of my friends, a great motivational speaker, Tim Story, says, how do you turn a setback into a comeback? And the first thing to understand is anytime you're unhappy, it's typically because your expectation is unrealistic. It isn't aligned with the real world. You think things should be one way, but that's not how they are. And so you end up feeling bad because you're like, well, this is what I wanted, but this is what I got. A better way of thinking about this is, before it's daytime, it's night. Before expansion, there's recession. Before you get to the spring, you got to go through the winter. So just realize that there are, like Jim Rohn says, there's seasons to life. I remember when I was running an insurance agency, I thought I was like the best. I was making, I think, $100,000 a year, and I was my own boss. I did what I wanted, had a cool car. And, unfortunately, what happened was we had a change in the way our customers were rated. And over the course of about a week, I lost almost all of my customers. 80-90% of my customers canceled because the price was 2, 3, 4, 5 times as high for the same amount of insurance because of this rate change. And that crushed my business. Instead of getting a check from the company I worked with at the time, they sent me a bill because they had paid me commissions for these policies I had sold. And they'd paid me for the full term of the policy, but a lot of these people had only been with us for 1 or 2 months. And so I remember when this happened, just feeling crushed. My car got repossessed. At the time, I broke up with the girl that I was dating. We had a terrible relationship. I lost my apartment, which was really, really hard to deal with because my rent was only $600 a month. So I really felt like, man, I just had, I think, the biggest failure of my life. I don't know of any other time that I've failed this hard at anything I've done. And I was doing all the right stuff. I was working hard. I was putting in the hours. I was always learning. I was trying to get better. I was doing all the right things. But the reality, the real world, was letting me know that, look, this is an untenable business. You're selling the wrong people. You're signing up the wrong clients. And I was very fortunate in the sense that when this happened, I already knew that I didn't want to do insurance anyways. I didn't like my job. I was pretty unhappy. I was making better money than I'd ever made before, but I didn't really like it. It wasn't that interesting to me. And I had realized that basically, even if I never got any smarter or any better, I could build an income to, $1 million a year or more. So it was really, for me, I was very unhappy because I saw that I could literally never grow and it wouldn't matter. I'd still be successful according to everybody else. And so I realized during that time, number one, that I always have a choice. And this is especially important. No matter what situation you're in life, you always have a choice. Number one, about whether or not you continue with that situation. And number two, how you feel about it. And so instead of really dwelling on the failure, I said, this is a great opportunity to start a new business. I'm at ground zero, so I'm not really losing anything by leaving this. And I really want to build a business online. I want to do stuff where I don't have any oversight from my local division or district. I don't have to answer to, the rate adjusters and all these people. I can build my own thing, work where I want, when I want, how I want, travel the world, do all these crazy, interesting things that I've now been able to do. And so realize that every feeling, every action is your choice, and start to refocus your energy. Say, hey, look, you know what? This isn't working out. Maybe that means either I'm doing the wrong things and I need to change my approach, or maybe it means that I'm just on the wrong path altogether and I need to decide that I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to do something else. And the interesting thing is when you start to refocus your energy on, like, maybe this isn't the end of something, it's the beginning of something else, it makes it very easy for you to change your perspective and to start looking at the big picture and start saying to yourself, I've learned a lot from this experience. I've learned a lot from these failures. I've learned a lot from these things not working out. Now I have a chance to look at the game again, the game of life. come at it with a new perspective, come at it with this idea that maybe I was even thinking too small. Maybe I could go bigger. Maybe I could be better. Maybe I could be in better shape. Maybe I could date somebody better. Maybe I could marry somebody better. Maybe I could have, an entirely different life than what I've been trying to do. Because a lot of times people kind of do whatever is expected of them because they think they're going to be letting people down. But the reality is there are always going to be some people who are let down because their expectation of you is that you should be a certain way that you aren't. And you have no control over that. I have a friend who says, other people's opinion of me is none of my business. And it's very true. Other people's opinion of you is none of your business. That is on them. It's up to them to come up with their expectations, and if that's out of alignment with who you actually are, that's their business. It's not yours. So the cool thing is you can change your perspective by going through these things, make new decisions on how you're going to feel, how you're going to act, what direction you're going to go in. And then the easiest way to start building momentum again into that motivation, into that feeling of like, man, I'm going somewhere, I'm doing something, is to just start noticing all the small wins you're already having. And the cool thing about like small wins is it could be anything. Like, did you brush your teeth this morning? How about even before that? You woke up today. That's a win. You're still kicking. You're still around. You woke up, brushed your teeth, washed your face, put on deodorant, made it to work on time, started your calls on time, did your meetings, ate a healthy lunch. Like, there's so many different things. And the cool thing, by the way, is you can stack wins on stuff you didn't do. You could be like, wow, I wasn't drunk today. I wasn't an alcoholic. I didn't wake up and shoot up heroin or something. Like, you can stack wins for all the things that you didn't do that would be leading you in the wrong direction. If you just broke up with somebody, you'd be like, man, I didn't even think about them all day. I didn't even think about them all day. I'm winning. So start celebrating these little wins, because the thing is, over your entire life, there aren't these huge momentous things that happen. There's that phrase that every overnight success takes 10 years. By the time other people start celebrating your success, you'll have already known for a long time that you were successful. When I started the new business after I failed in insurance, I already knew I was going to be successful. I was like, it's just a matter of time for the rest of the world to catch up to me. So I changed my perspective and I was like, I'm already winning. People out there just don't realize it yet. They haven't figured it out. But I know what I've got inside of me. I know what I'm going to be doing. And I can get excited now. I don't have to wait for it to happen. Remember when you were a little kid, maybe you had a birthday party coming up, or you're going to go to Disneyland or Universal Studios or do something fun, and you'd be so excited you couldn't even go to sleep. You can do that as an adult. You could just decide, oh man, I can't wait. This is going to be so cool. I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to live in this big fancy house. I'm going to have all these cool friends. I'm going to go on interesting vacations. I'm going to contribute to charity. I'm going to make a difference. You don't have to wait for that stuff to happen to start getting excited for it. And the interesting thing, by the way, there was a study that was done. This is a fascinating study. You can look this up online, where they took a bunch of people and they put their arms in casts so they couldn't move their arm at all. And every single day, they made these people visualize in their mind that they were squeezing the arm super hard, that they were lifting a very heavy weight, that they were lifting it and their arm was getting stronger for 10 minutes. And they did this for 12 weeks. Now, the crazy thing about this is the people that they put in a cast, now they had a control that did nothing, and they had another group that actually exercised. The people that were put in the cast that could not even move their arm saw a 12% increase in the strength of that muscle after 12 weeks of just imagining for 10 minutes a day. So if you're in a rough time right now, there's a lot of hope, because that means all you have to do is just visualize it. Just visualize and visualize and visualize and visualize. And over time, things will start to open up to you. Opportunities will start to happen that you could have never expected. It's kind of like like a cheat. It's like the law of attraction and all this stuff. But the reality is it's been proven in studies with things that you would never guess could even happen. Like I would never guess that you could get stronger just by thinking about making your arm stronger, especially when you're not moving it whatsoever. So change your perspective, celebrate the small wins, and when things are really hard, go back to your why. What is it that you're trying to accomplish? Why do you want these things that you want out of life? What is it that's really driving you? And these don't all have to be positive, by the way. You can have things that repel you and things that pull you. So things that repel you, you might be like, hey, look, I had a rough childhood. Nobody believed in me. I mean, I can tell you when I was a little kid, my nickname was Fat Boy, and I hated it. I hated it so much. I hated growing up in an insanely abusive household where I was getting punched and kicked by adults every day. Now, the craziest thing about this is, as an adult, I think back to that stuff, and that's fuel for my fire. That lights me up to know, number one, I'll never be like those people. Number two, they had no idea how valuable I am. And number three, I'm going to prove them all wrong. So that stuff repels me. That repels me away from the things that I don't want, and it pushes me towards the things that I do want, which also are attracting me. I want to go on cool vacations. I want to go to Japan. I want to go to India. I want to go to China. I want to go to Russia. I want to go all over Europe. I want to see the world. I want to experience everything I can. So I've got on one side of me, things are just dragging me into the future, and on the other side, things are pushing me away from my past. So go back to your why, and if you don't have a really strong why, take the time, spend 30 minutes, spend an hour. You are worth it. Like, you're worth it. It is worth your time to do this, because what will happen is when things do get hard, you just remember, hey, look, those motherfuckers were wrong about me. I am worthwhile. I am somebody that is valuable. I have so much value. I have so much that I can contribute. There's so much more that I can become. They have no idea, right? Or, man, all these great vacations, all these places in the world, they're waiting for me to show up. They're waiting for me to step into that new reality where I am the person that's vacationing there, that I'm the person doing business there. I'm the person experiencing all these amazing things. So you have to go back to a really strong why. And then also, very simply, start being grateful. And I know, especially when things are really hard, it's very hard to do this, but just look around you. Do you have locks on your doors? That's pretty cool. It's nice that people can't just walk into your house whenever they want. Do you have socks on your feet? Shoes? Do you have hot water that you can take showers with? Do you have clean water that you can drink? Do you have food to eat? You have oxygen. You can breathe. Like, all of these things that we take for granted because they seem so small, but the reality is, without a lot of this stuff, we wouldn't exist at all. Without oxygen, none of us would be here. Without food, none of us would be here. Without water, none of us would be here. So just look around. Even the simplest things. Start feeling real gratitude. Man, it's so cool. I remember when I first started doing this almost 8 years ago, I would sit down, I'd write 5 things. I didn't even care how silly it was. I remember writing down locks. I'm so grateful that I have locks on my doors so random people can't just walk in my house whenever they want. I'm so grateful I have socks. At the time when I started doing this, I was getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning and walking to the gym. It was winter time. It's probably 30 degrees in the morning. I really enjoyed the fact that my feet were not freezing. I had socks on. I had shoes on. I had a gym to go to. There were cool people at the gym that were usually pretty nice to me. I didn't ever have any problems with anybody. So all of these little things, they make up like the mosaic of your life. You can look at it and say, wow, look at all this cool stuff that I have. And, you know, one or two just final points here, you know, look at these things with gratitude and really understand, like, we live in such abundance. Like, the average American today lives better than a king did 500 years ago. 500 years isn't that long. That's like 5 or 6 generations, maybe 7 generations, maybe 8, right? But the crazy thing about it is 8 generations back, a king didn't live as good as we do today. So it's kind of cool because you're like, man, my life is already amazing. I wonder how much better it could get. And, you know, just one final point, especially if you're like really struggling, like you're very I don't know if I want to use the word depressed, sad, unhappy, unfulfilled, you feel like you have no purpose in life, move your body. You can see I'm walking, I'm on a treadmill desk right now. Like, it's very hard to feel good when you're not using your body, when you're not moving around. Sometimes when I'm having a rough day, I'll leave midday. I'm like, dude, nothing's working out. I'm going to the gym. I'm going to go do something that no matter what happens, nobody else can interfere with that. You go get a good workout in, even if it's only 20 minutes. That's all on you. You're able to look yourself in the mirror and say, hey, you know what? Despite all this negative stuff going on, I still took care of me. I still made time for me. And the interesting thing is, I found sometimes just spending 15, 20 minutes moving around doing something else, I completely forget why it was I was even upset to begin with. I completely forget what it was that was bothering me. And I start thinking, I go back to getting grateful. I go back to thinking about my why. A lot of the times, I do this weird thing. A lot of people in my office sometimes notice. Now, luckily, they think I'm on sales calls, so they don't know that I'm just talking to myself. But I'll just walk around and I'll just talk to myself as if everything's perfect. You can absolutely trick yourself into believing that amazing things are about to happen to you just by walking around mumbling to yourself, man, you know, it's so cool. Like, all these deals, I mean, people just keep wanting to do business with me. It's like, I don't even know what's going on. It's crazy. It's so cool. Like, I just wake up and people want to buy from me and people want to do business with me and they want to partner with me. And, you know, everybody's being so nice to me. And the weirdest thing about this, by the way, is if you do this, you'll start noticing, like, the world starts to conform to your belief and your perception of it. So you start, and it's kind of this idea that whatever you focus on expands. So you start just noticing all the good stuff, and the stuff that used to bother you and used to be annoying and used to make you feel like things were going wrong tend to just fade into the background of your consciousness, to where the only things you start noticing, you're like, wow, this guy just hit me up. He wanted to do a deal. I've been trying to do a deal with him for 8 weeks now. This other thing happened. I don't know. It's just so crazy. So you can take some time every day. I do this, by the way, make it easy. Set random alarms on your phone to go off that just say, you're blessed. And when you see that, be like, wow, I'm so blessed. All this good stuff keeps happening to me. People are so nice. Making more money, man, greater health. I don't know what's going on. It just seems to happen for me. I don't even have to try that hard. And the fun thing about doing this is when you do it for a long enough period of time, some kind of weird magic. I think it's, you know, you could say it's God. If you don't like the word God, you can say the universe or the law of attraction. But it seems like if you speak as if your life is already good, you're already doing well, you tend to get more of it. And so don't think, if everything is currently going wrong, that it can't change, and it can't change fast. I've had some of the hardest days in my life were right before some of the best days of my life. I remember going to an event one time, and for 3 weeks I was trying to close these deals so that I could make enough money to buy a ticket to go to this event, because I was like, if I can go to this event, I can learn some things, I'll become better at business, and I'll make more money, and it'll be worth it. So I'm like trying to close deals. Finally, somebody buys. They send me $1,500. Hell yeah. Bought a ticket for $997. I got some money left in the bank for gas to drive there. I've got some money to eat, maybe a couple of hot dogs or something from 7-Eleven. And I'm going to go learn. I'm going to find a way to make more money. And the whole trip to do this event, everything kept going wrong. I was like, God, man, like, the car's not working. I had to take a train. Then I had to get an Uber. Then I had to stay at a friend's house. I had to stay on her couch because I couldn't afford to get a hotel or an Airbnb. Then I had to walk to the event. I couldn't even afford to get an Uber to the event. Went to the event. The next day, I closed $12,000 in new business. And before that, I'd struggled to get even $1,500 in per month. And so sometimes when things are going wrong, I've completely rewired my brain now that when things start going wrong, I start getting really excited because I'm like, man, I must be getting to that point where there's the most resistance, and it's about to break open, and all the good stuff I've been working for is going to show up for me. So one thing you can do is take this mindset that the harder it gets, the closer you are to the success that you want. And the greatest thing about this is that's usually the case. I remember recently I've lost about 38 pounds over the last 12 weeks. And for 6 months, I was training, I was working out with weights 4 times a week. I was doing cardio 5 times a week for 45 minutes. I was dieting, I was eating eggs for breakfast, chicken, rice, and veggies for lunch and dinner, having a little plain Greek yogurt at the end of the night. And I was drinking a protein shake every day. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm tracking my sleep using my Whoop band. I'm everything I can possibly do, and I'm not losing weight. And I'm not necessarily getting to this point where I'm thinking of quitting, but I'm starting to feel like maybe I'm just screwed. Maybe there's literally nothing I can do now. I'm not as young as I used to be. Maybe that's the problem. I'm in my 30s now, so maybe it's, that I'm getting older and this is just what happens. You're just screwed. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep looking. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to find a coach. I'm going to talk to people. I'm going to get some new ideas. And I found my coach, who I've now worked with for 12 weeks. His name's Carlos. And the craziest thing was, he said, hey, let's get some blood work done. And what I want to do is I want you to get an insulin blood test. I want to see what's going on. Let me see what's going on under the hood here. So I get this blood work done. A couple weeks goes by. Results come back. I'm like 2 points below pre-diabetic. Now keep in mind, I'm healthy. I'm eating whole foods, no processed junk. I'm not eating a bunch of sugar. I'm eating what everybody basically says is the right foods, and I'm getting 0 results. And he said to me, I said, what should I do? Like, how many grams of carbs per day should I eat? He said, how about none? I said, okay. What I'm doing isn't working, man. I'll listen. I'll try anything. So 8 weeks go by, I'm down 31 pounds. Another 4 weeks go by, I'm down another 5 pounds, 4 or 5 pounds. So one last final note here is, if everything's going wrong, don't make it that it's something wrong with you. You might just not have the right information. So like right now, if you're trying to lose weight, I'll post a link below. You can talk to my coach. You go get a coach, talk to somebody who knows what they're doing, that can say, hey, look, there's something going on here, and if we check these tests, we do these things, we're going to uncover it, and we're going to be able to fix this. So the last piece of advice, and maybe I should have put this at the beginning, but when everything's going wrong, the best thing you can do is go to somebody who's had success in that area of life for the last 20 years. So my coach is in his 40s. I think he's almost 50 maybe. His brother, same thing. They run a company called Medical Health Institute. My mentor's all been successful for a minimum of 20 years. Some of these guys are going on 3 decades of success and money. Go out and find the people that are the most successful in that area of life so that you can get what it is that they know. And also, a lot of times they're going to tell you, hey, you're doing this thing over here. It's wrong. So don't think, by the way, that you should just have to do this on your own. It isn't lonely at the top. If you ever find yourself at the top and you're lonely, you know you're not at the top, because all the people who win the biggest, they all collaborate. They all work with other people, and most of them want somebody to be able to help that's willing to put in the work so that they can pass on the information that they got from their mentors to the next generation of people.